All right, hello wine drinking people. It's sometime in the month of December, and I realized that, well, we forgot to review one of our events, and, this is part of the more scientific work that I do here at the Wine Watch, tasting wine and then reporting back to you, our wine drinking people, as to how the wines are. So we had a great event about a week ago or some time ago at the Ritz Carleton on the Fort Lauderdale Beach, Via Luna restaurant. And I figured we should probably let you guys know about how this went here. It was, like I said before, the first event we've done with this property, and this is somewhat of a troubled property. You know, it was started out as the St. Regis. They took their St. Regis card away. I guess it wasn't regal enough, and then the Ritz Carleton came in and took over. And this is the first of the major, upscale hotels to open on Fort Lauderdale Beach, and it's right next to Lulu's Bait Shack, or Beach Place, which has become known as, I don't know about an eyesore for Fort Lauderdale Beach for all these high-end hotels, but it's kind of, it doesn't fit if you're sitting out at the Ritz Carleton having a wonderful, elegant meal and you're listening to New Orleans style music and going on up just a stone throw away. So one of the problems with this property, but hey, it is a beautiful property. The guys down there are doing a really good job with the food and the service. I was really impressed with Sommelier Don there and the job that he did putting together this event, along with our folks from Coastal, Bina and Mike, and some great stuff from Newton Vineyards, and winemaker Chris Millard was there. And I love the way they had everything set up. As you walked in, they greeted you and brought you out to the outside patio, and there they gave you a glass of the Newton Red Label. And the Newton Red Label and the unfiltered 2 Chardonnays that Newton does a very different style. A number of people pointed this out, and hey, that's why they make 2 different wines. There's the Red Label, much more fresh and fruity, much easier drinking wine, a much more simple style Chardonnay, and then the unfiltered, one of the greatest Chardonnays made in Napa Valley, and has been for quite a few years. Hey, this is a property that's been around since the late 70s. Peter Newton came to Napa Valley for the first time in the 50s and fell in love with it, started Sterling Paper in San Francisco, and was kind of buried in that for the next decade or so, and then decided he wanted to get back up to Napa. He'd been buying land up there for the last decade and accumulated about 500 acres and said, hey, it's time to build a winery, and thus Sterling Vineyards. The second biggest winery to happen since Prohibition, of course, Mondavi. The first major operation, Robert Mondavi Winery. Next was Sterling, and this winery is still the #2 visited spot in the Napa Valley, right behind Robert Mondavi Winery. What a surprise. And Coca-Cola offered Peter a sum of money that he could not refuse for this winery. So he sold it to Coca-Cola in the 70s, and they proceeded to go and screw things up there royally. No, actually, well, he brought Rick Foreman with him to open up Newton Cellars. Rick Foreman was a winemaker at Sterling back then, and at that time they were producing some of the best wine made in Napa Valley. Hey, they didn't have much competition, but hey, Rick didn't do such a good job for Peter. And Sue Ha Newton, Sue Ha, Peter's wife, and she took over the winery after he passed away some years ago. And Sue Ha, one of the real characters of the Napa Valley. We've had her in the store several times. She's got some great hangover remedies. She's a doctor by trade and a very interesting woman, and very passionate about the wine industry also. And hey, they've had Rick Foreman. They had John Koensgaard next come in, and as a consultant, one of the top guns in Napa Valley today. They were one of the first, I think the first people actually, to hire Michel Rolland. And it's amazing. Anyone that hires Michel Rolland, the scores immediately go up. And Parker, who's good friends with Michel Rolland, immediately started to wax poetic about this mountain vineyard-based winery. It's on the foot of Spring Mountain, and some great vineyard sites there, now fully mature. And the red wines, well, they've been known for their Merlot from day one. Spectacular. The Cabernet also outstanding, the unfiltered Cabernet, and then the Puzzle, their top wine. Somewhat puzzling, the pricing on this wine, because it's been $50, $60 for a while. Now it's up to $90, but it is one of the top red wine blends made in Napa Valley. Going backwards here, actually we should continue on with the event. I just get a little bit of history behind Newton Vineyards. But Chris Millard, the winemaker there, I think enjoyed the style of event because we got to walk around to different stations. They had a risotto station paired with the Newton Unfiltered Chardonnay, was the first food station. And they had a little bit of shrimp and some lemon zest with this, which I think the shrimp added a little richness, and so did the lemon add a little bit of a kind of a spritz and a zing, zestiness to the dish that went really nicely with the Chardonnay. And of course, there was some animal fat in this dish also, a little butter. That's something you need with a rich Chardonnay, help really tie everything together. And that's something most good chefs finish off their risotto with, a little bit of butter to add some richness to it. Went really nice with this unfiltered. This is a very rich style wine. Can be slightly cloudy in years, a little bit of sediment left in this, and then wonderful concentration and depth of fruit on the palate. Asian pear, lovely vanilla and cinnamon kind of spice with this, and a long finish, really well balanced and great hand of acidity here. This is a wine that'll go quite a few years in the bottle. Those of you that like to keep Chardonnay, you know who you are in your cellar. You really don't need to, but this one will last a little while. The Merlot, as I mentioned before, this went with their kind of cheese station. They poured the unfiltered Merlot and a nice buffalo mozz with a little tomato, but unfortunately the tomato was a little green, a little bit hard. I like the little bit of balsamic that came in a little squeezy kind of syringe thing. Always nice to interact with the food. But yeah, like I said, when you serve it with the tomato that's a little hard, it kind of takes away from things for me. But, you know, the cheese course, I think a nice way to break up, you know, your meandering about the patio there. And then the mixed grill that came with the Cabernet Sauvignon. Wow, man, they served veal chop, they served lamb, they served ribeye. You really got your money's worth here, and they were pouring like as much as you wanted. You wanted to go back for another glass of wine. The Cabernet, a really big and dense Cabernet. Really a lot of plum and currant and cassis, a lot of minerality in this wine, a lot of fresh earth, as I mentioned before. These are mountain wines, and really, you know, a really intense Cabernet Sauvignon, really nice and nice chocolatey and smoky, toasty oak notes on the finish. After that, they moved us into the wine room, which is actually the most attractive part of this restaurant, I think, for me. I love the wine room, a little bar outside of there, really attractive, really nice. And the puzzle, well, named just for that because every year they've got to put the pieces together and figure out what this wine is going to be in certain vintages. It's been predominantly Merlot. Most of the time it is predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon and the 07 vintage, a great vintage in Napa Valley. This wine really big, a lot of like dark chocolate, espresso, and fresh plowed black earth to the nose, and really big and chewy on the palate. This wine needs a little bit of time and a hefty price tag, but I would put this among the Napa Valley Elite, one of the top wines being made in Napa into a Cabernet blend category. All right, well, that's what I had to drink at the Ritz Carleton with our Chris Millard, the winemaker for Newton Vineyards. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasone, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.